Hey everyone, so today I'm coming at you from the phone instead of the camera. We're using a lot less production value because the topic of this video, as you'll see from the title, is a vlog, an overdue vlog that I've not done for my channel in quite some time because honestly, there's not that much interesting going on in my life that I think is worth filming and sharing with you all. But I thought actually upon my recent trip to the dreamy Japan, my ultimate bucket list destination, that actually there was one particular topic which I know a lot of you luxury lovers out there will enjoy, and that's of course a luxury shopping vlog. Now this video is going to be the first in I guess what will be a 3 or 4 part series of shopping in Japan. It's honestly something that I didn't think would change my mind so much in the way that I shop and where I shop, but you'll see in this vlog and the other videos to come that shopping in Japan is just phenomenal. I wanted to share that experience instead of just talking about it with you today because I took a lot of footage while I was out there. I was in Tokyo, Kyoto and Osaka, so I have footage from around the cities there. If I was to squeeze everything into one video, it would be hours and hours long. I sectioned it into Tokyo as a separate video. This is today's video. And then the Osaka one into another separate vlog. What I'm going to do, just because otherwise it will be a little bit boring of like half an hour of just me walking into shops silently and taking footage, is I will do a little bit of a talking head. So I'll put myself in the corner of the videos and just talk through what I'm seeing, just so that you kind of get a little bit more of a feel of the selection. Hopefully you'll be able to see some prices. I didn't get all the prices because otherwise I'd be in these shops for even longer than I was. And you know, I have a very patient boyfriend who was willing to come around to all these shops with me. Bless his heart, he's the real MVP that really brought this video to you today. And when I will talk prices, I'll probably be using British pounds because I'm British, so that's predominantly the units, but you can always convert it as you see fit and just pause this video, I suppose, if you want to do some calculations. So let me shut up now, let me go into the footage. I've got my laptop below here, so if you see me looking down, I'm not being antisocial, I'm just looking at the footage. So the first place that I went to, I think, was Daikokuya. I don't know if it's in chronological order, but Daikokuya is one of the biggest luxury shops, I suppose, out there that sells pre-loved. You can see I'm pointing at a few Birkins. I'd not really seen Birkins in the flesh before, so the fact that they were pretty much everywhere in Japan, especially in the shop, was just something that I was not ready for. And you can see broad selections here. They look brand spanking new. You'd have no idea that the majority of these bags were pre-loved. You can see it's beautifully presented here. Now you can see a few constances, bleeds, I think. I'm not really familiar with too much of the jargon when it comes to Hermes, but loads and loads of Hermes. I found Hermes to be one of the more popular brands that they had out there. I suppose that's why everyone goes to Japan to shop. You can see some beautiful colors. Obviously, I've mentioned it in previous videos that I'm not the biggest fan of Hermes bags for numerous reasons I've covered before, so I won't labor the point, but I wanted to show you the arrays that you can get. And obviously you can see some fine jewelry here, your J12 Chanel watches and some other vintage ones, and even some brands like this Franck Muller that I've not actually seen before. So yeah, broad selection that you can see. I found prices to be really, really good. Something that you probably should know as well if you are going as a tourist. You can see little signs dotted around for tax-free, so you get, I think, up to 10% off, which can be a big, big saving. So a lot of these shops will have it in red. You can see some of the labels here on these Chanels that you can basically get 10% off the lifted prices usually, but they usually put the labels on the top that it's already tax-free, so you just make sure to bring your passports so you get savings. I really liked the look of this Chanel gold one, just showing you a few selections here and there. There's plenty more Chanel for my Chanel lovers later on in the video, but here's some Louis Vuittons that you can see a little bit more graffiti style. Tons and tons of Louis Vuittons, like you can see, so many vintage ones with the patinaed kind of leather. I'm not such a big fan of the patina on the leather handles and things, but if that's something that you enjoy, that you don't mind, then there is tons out here. You can see the Neverfulls, Keep Alls, a few other vintage numbers that I don't know the names of, but all in kind of that original LV monogram, which is not my cup of tea again, but if it is for you, I found the prices to be within the few hundreds mark, if that, and obviously depending on condition and packaging. But you can see here a lot of the packaging is either intact, or Daikokuya or the other shops will package it well for you. And honestly, the Japanese keep things, as you can tell, in immaculate condition. So now where are we? We are in Brand Jungle, again in Tokyo. Obviously every shop that I'm talking about here is in Tokyo, and you can see a lot of Louis Vuittons here, a range of Chanels, all presented really immaculately. And a lot of these bags, you can see, are pretty brand new. I feel like they're in recent collections. And here I've just gone upstairs. I think in this store, as in many stores, this is a fun factoid, they were doing live shopping, and they were doing it primarily for the Chinese mainland audience. So yeah, that's the biggest, I guess, customer base. So just walking around them, I've tried my best not to film faces and things, though they do have face masks on still at the time of filming. And as you can see, it's just like very casual Birkins around the Chanel bags just out there, you know, it's kind of interesting. And now we're into a new shop. I didn't quite catch the name. I think it was another Daikokuya, if I'm not mistaken. They are like the biggest of them all. And you can see quite a few Chanels. I was myself looking for Chanels, so Daikokuya had a really good selection themselves. And obviously there's more Birkins and Louis Vuittons, as expected. There was nothing really that tickled my fancy thus far, so I was just kind of showing you everything else. You can see a few Celine's and Dior bags, etc. that, yeah, they've just got tons and tons of selections really, and they're all pretty brand spanking new condition. So here we've got some few Chanels. Sorry about shaky cam, because I felt a little type of way about recording all the stock, but they didn't really seem to care later down the line, so it gets a little more bearable. So please excuse me on that. But you can see these beautiful pink Chanels, very, very cute. Beige classic flaps, lots of beautiful vintage numbers that were in immaculate condition. To be honest, I feel like you can probably stop the video and pause the prices. You can see, I think like 200,000s and whatnot. And if I've got my conversions for British pounds, if I use a 163 yen to a pound ratio, you know, you could get stuff here for like 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 pounds, depending on vintage condition. Here you can see one that's like 800,000 we just saw pass, so that's around 5,000 pounds. You can see a lot of Birkins. Birkins ranged in price, to be honest. I feel like if you're gonna get one, maybe Tokyo's not the place. I found Osaka to have much better selection and price points, but you can see around 2 million or something, so that's maybe like 12 grand, depending on the condition. Here you see some cheaper ones, 1 million, and so on. And you can screenshot prices if you're interested, but none of these tickled me. But I suppose if you're looking for a Birkin or Kelly, there is tons on offer in Japan, so you don't really have to do the whole begging and whatnot, the game here in the UK, or indeed just the West in general. And you can see here, yeah, you've got some pretty inexpensive, I suppose, Birkins and Kellys for about 1 million Japanese yen, which is about 6,000 pounds, just over. Now you can see some more Hermes, less sought after, I suppose, a bit more seasonal, I think. This, I believe, is the Bolide, if I'm not mistaken. And you've got some more exotic looking Birkins here. Not my cup of tea, but you know, I feel like the exotics, like you see here, I think this must be a croc or an alligator. Stunning, absolutely stunning. And I feel like that's worth the price of like 18 grand or whatever converted. Beautiful exotics again above. They'll cost you a pretty penny, but I think cheaper than the UK, than the West in general. Here you've got some more Louis Vuittons, lots of wallets, SLGs in general. A lot of men's briefcases, I think, in a typical monogram. I don't like the way that, as a side note, that they folded up these key pulls. I feel like with the age of these vintage bags, you probably want to stuff them as opposed to fold them like that, but that's just a side gripe. And then you've got some Pradas, Fendis, etc., a bit more seasonal. The Gucci's, I must say, very cheap. I saw a bag just down there for, was it like 80,000? So it's like 300 pounds or maybe 400 pounds. And then you've got some Dior's. I found these more seasonal or like lower tier brands to be very accessible, but if you're looking for something very specific, you probably won't find it as then compared to an Hermes or Chanel. They'll have multiple classic flaps or multiple Birkins, whereas these bags here, the Gucci's, you'll just get one-offs if you're lucky. But now we're on to, I guess, fine jewelry. I found the fine jewelry to be a really good selection. You've obviously got unbranded jewelry, so I guess customers who pawned off their unbranded jewelry would be here. There was a great selection, but honestly, I'd be there for days looking at the jewelry alone. But you can also see, I think in the shot, you can see the Van Cleef Arpels necklaces and things. There you go there as well. And then here we've got this stunning Himalaya Birkin. I was very shocked to see that. And then you also saw an exotic Chanel too. All right, we're now in Sakine, and sorry, this footage is moving very quickly, so please excuse that. We've got a lot of Dior's, baby Chanel, vanity cases, so that wasn't, you know, too long ago that was released. Got some Michael Kors, and all very well priced. Got some Rollies. I must say the Rollies in Japan were very, very reasonable in terms of the price. You can get a good one for £3,000 or £4,000, similar to the one that I have actually, the Date Just. Here you've got a lot of fine jewelry selections as well, all gold. More Louis Vuittons. Are we surprised at this stage? Probably not, but there you go. That's just a quick selection there. Now we're moving on to Okura, and you can see straight away, you see that Louis Vuitton Supreme collaboration. We've got this Hermes Constance. That was a beautiful color, actually. That was around like 9,000, just over. And a few more Hermes bags, the thatched bag. Got some exotics again. I believe those are Picotins and garden parties. Look at me with all my lingo here. But yeah, very wide selection of Hermes bags. More Louis Vuittons, some price decreases. You get that sometimes if they're trying to shift some stock. You might get an additional discount on top of the tax-free, which is always great. You got some graffiti Louis Vuittons. I know why they're on sale, but yeah, you've just got tons and tons of canvas bags. I mean, you can take your pick from any store. It's really hard, therefore, to pick which store you want to buy from. Now you've got some Coca handles. I think that one's Python on the left, which is very nice. Must not have been too long ago that was released, but now you don't see exotics from Chanel anymore. Some cute seasonal Chanel bags too. Again, feel free to stop the video, screenshot prices. Now you've got some Dior, Lady Dior's, and this beautiful exotic that you're seeing here, this white one. There was also that bronze one, and that was around £4,000, which I think is a bargain. And now we're on to fine jewelry. You got some of the Cartier watches, the Santos in particular. I think is a beautiful men's watch, reasonable prices, around £5,000 maybe. And you can see a lot more designer watches here as well. They also had lots and lots of Rolexes, Breitlings, Omegas that you can see. And in fact, on the aforementioned Rolex, that department, I mean, any watch that you thought was out of reach, like the Pepsi or the Hulk, they've got it. And you can see, hopefully, when I zoom in here, that, you know, these are all the prices that you can expect from Okura or just luxury consignment in general in Tokyo. And they come with their full set usually, because the Japanese keep their stuff really well. They have the box, they have the care cards, all of that good stuff. So I think for the prices, they're pretty good. And you don't have to play the game. You know, I think I'm still on the waiting list for a Rolex from Harrods, despite the fact that I managed to get one at an airport. But here you can see beautiful Hulks, Pepsis, whatnot. The Date Justs, yeah, what a selection. You will not be stuck for choice in Japan. So that's some stuff that I wanted to show you and point out that you don't need to play the game in the UK. Same with other fine jewelry brands like Van Cleef, always sought after, the Cartiers and the Tiffany's that you can see here. You would not have any idea that this was a consignment store. You would honestly expect this to just be another department store, like a Selfridges, Harrods equivalent. More Date Just that look very similar to mine, and the prices were pretty good. I saw one that was basically $2,500, maybe just a little bit more. And I believe you can also, which I did not know actually, you can negotiate on the listed prices too. I imagine if you buy a few more things, you can get an even better price. So yeah, you could probably get a Birkin or Kelly on a discount price. Now let's move on to Cameo. They're also a big, I guess, like multi-store brand in Japan, not just Tokyo. They have many, many stores. You can see here, going in, looking at some Louis Vuittons. That one's not exactly in the best condition, but some of the other seasonal bags, like this on the go, that I think it previously wanted. It's on sale here. Got a few more seasonal bags with the monograms, some denim numbers, and hopefully I zoom into some prices later on, but I just, you know, I couldn't take all the footage of absolutely everything. So it's more just like a feel for the stock that you get there, but some beautiful on the goats. I love that neutral color. I love the on the go anyway, just because I have one myself, I'm biased, but you can see here, good prices. I think you got like 1,000 odd. Sometimes as well, something to consider is the stock isn't always going to be cheaper out in Japan. Depends on the condition, the model of the bag, the scarcity, that kind of thing. So do your research, but on the whole, I found a lot of the items to be way cheaper. Ready to wear, I didn't look so much at. I just wanted to show you, this is what you can expect. I found the prices, for me personally, for something that is pre-loved, found them to be a little bit more on the expensive side, but you can find some good pieces out there. They're all very neutral, wearable pieces, but obviously they're all one-offs. So no size selections there. So I didn't really labor it in terms of going through all of the clothing racks and things like that, but just to give you a vibe, Valentino, 40,000 pounds, that's around just under 300 pounds for a blouse. So depends on the condition and the type of item. Here you can see more SLGs, wallets, all Louis Vuitton, different types of leather, canvas, etc. Yeah, they just have a lot of Louis Vuitton. So if you are an LV fan, then go here, buy it here, and more canvas bags. I think that's why I stopped taking footages of the actual prices, because they are relatively the same across all these stores. I think any storefront that is this nice, you're gonna have to, I guess, factor that into your prices. Oops, we have a vertical video here. I will fix that hopefully in post. You won't even know, but it's just me wandering around the store looking at more of the glass storage selection, more Chanel. This Cameo had multiple floors, so I think I'm just going through the floors here. Beautiful seasonal flat bags and a lot of Chanel here, a lot of black. Must say I had a lot of footage of Chanel black classic flaps, so if you are looking for one, perhaps your first, Japan is the place to go. Lots of beautiful sizes, and honestly the conditions are immaculate. They do, as a side note, have different rankings. Each store will be a little bit unique, I suppose, in how they rank. But as a whole, you either get something that's new, unused, or super grade, so S, all the way through, I think, A, which is like very good, and then it goes to AB, which is some signs of use, but not that much, and then B, and I don't know if they have a C or not, they probably wouldn't accept it, but as you can see, a lot of these are like A, some of them are unused as well, which is insane. Got some beautiful chains here, some belts and necklaces that I guess you could maybe interchange. Now you've got some seasonal bags like this Velextra bag, which is around 1,500, I suppose. Some beautiful exotic unbranded bags, perhaps. This one was like a dupe of the Kelly or something, the Morabito. I've never heard of this, but one to consider if you are not looking for the price tag of Hermes. And then some more Chanel seasonal bags, some vintage vanities, which I thought was so cute. Relatively good price as well. You can get a bag therefore for 1,200 pounds. Other red Chanel bags here. This one's quite an interesting one, this dual tone. And then you've got some pinks too. Business Affinity, which I do love myself. I have one myself. And relatively good prices, considering the condition as well and how sought after these bags are. Now you can see some Hermes scarves. Here are some prices, around 800 pounds perhaps for a big scarf. So take it with a pinch of salt, I suppose, because you could get one for that price just for the actual retail. Then some more Kelly's bags. As you can see, you're looking at the 2 millions mark, but honestly, I think 2 million, which is like 12 grand for a mini Kelly, maybe that's actually a good deal. You've got the Vert Fizz, I believe is that kind of green color there, quite sought after from what I see on the forums. And then a lot of neutral gray Birkins and Kellys. And you can see some more here. I think this is the taupe color, and you see a lot of these actually, so you can pause and see the prices here. It was Hermes heaven. If you love Hermes, then this is the place to go. Japan is the country for you. So much on offer. I didn't actually try any Hermes bags on, even though I have certain opinions on them. I always wanted to see the leathers and whatnot and maybe touch them, but I just didn't really find them any interesting ones. I didn't want to waste the sales associate's time, but I love the fact that, you know, the sales associates were so kind. They either left me to it, or if they saw I needed help, they were very proactive. And, you know, they basically said, you know, if you want to try bags on, just let us know, we'll get them out for you. Whereas in the UK, even if you saw one in the window, you're not allowed to touch, okay? So very, very different shopping vibe. I will cover a lot of my insights and things in a separate video, but yeah, you can see a lot of Birkins. I'm still looking at Birkins. There was just so many in this Cameo shop alone. And then you've got more Hermes scarves, surprise, surprise. Some Twilly scarves too. You've got some wallets, Hermes wallets here, Rodeos, 60k for a Rodeo, so about £300, so maybe not too bad. Then you've got some of these Twilly scarves for around £200, I suppose, so not too bad. And the conditions are really good. I think, as a side note, a lot of these items, the reason why they are so new looking is because in Japan they have a very I don't know if it's materialistic culture, but they always want the newest thing. They basically follow trends and they don't like having something that's out of date. So that's why you see a lot of these items here, because I think they just take the money from the sold item and put it towards something new. I think a lot of items also get gifted. So if they separate from their boyfriend or husband or whatever, they'll sell the gift. So there you go, a lot of new Chanels and whatnot. And overall, beautiful store. The setup is immaculate and the selection is really vast, from those higher tier luxury brands that you see to the more lower tier ones. So you've got some Bottegas, Gucci's, Fendi's and whatnot. And now you've got some accessories, chokers, SLGs, costume jewelry, phone cases even, who knew? But yeah, beautiful store all in all, lots and lots on offer, and I was there for ages. As you can tell, we're still in that same store. Some Bottega cassette bags, I believe. You can see that was 270k, so that's around £1,500 thereabouts. You can see some of the Prada, I believe that's like the Clio bags. And then you've got a lot more of the classic Prada bags. So yeah, do your research as well before you consider buying in Japan. Just make sure that it is definitely cheaper, even with the tax back. You've got the Fendi bags, or this Fendi Versace collaboration. That went on sale real quick in this store. That was very recent, actually. Some more baguette bags, some seasonal fabric ones. And then here, I believe you've just got some of the other brands like the Loewe's of the world. So if you are looking for the lower tier brands, they just have them scattered. There's no doubles of anything. As you can see, these Gucci wallets, there's just one of every kind. So make sure that you, hopefully you're flexible on the items because they don't have doubles. And then you can see a lot of shoes, a lot of Louboutins here, to my surprise, a lot of Chanels too. And you can see the prices, 65k as an example. You've got about £400 for a worn pair of shoes. So just do your due diligence. For me personally, I'd be more likely to get a pre-loved bag, even though I ideally like to have something that's unused. Shoes, on the other hand, I just don't like the concept of using other people's shoes. I'm sorry about that. Just unless it's your mums or your sisters or whatnot, someone who you know who has the same foot size as you, you just never know because it touches the floor. It's not my vibe. I think same with clothing a little bit too. If it's in very good condition, I'd consider it, like almost not worn. But there's just something about it touching their skin and the foot and the ground that's just, yeah, I just can't get around it. But anyway, let's move on to another Cameo store. They had a few actually in Tokyo, in Shinjuku, in Ginza, loads of other places, even ones just for men or just ones for fine jewelry. So they're a really good one to visit. But again, more Louboutins, so many Louboutins, the seasonal ones as well that Virgil Abloh did. And got some Alma BBs, Kusan bags. Again, you should be able to see some prices here. Now moved on to Chanel's. That's a nice seasonal Chanel for 450k. It's around less than £3,000. I think that's a good deal. Some Chanel 19s here. More seasonal numbers, lots of black Chanel bags. This one's 1 million, 1.3 million. I think that's a good price point for a classic flat, 6.5k or thereabouts. Loads of Twillies, beautiful Twilly display, by the way. As a side note, so here is some indication of prices, not too bad, maybe like £200 less than. Now you have got some, is that Evelyn bags? Not a fan of that style bag, to be honest, but if you are into it, there you go. More of those for you. Some garden parties, I believe that's called, in various neutral colors. They have a lot of neutrals. Sip of water time. because I am chatting way over time. And now we've moved on to one of the most famous consignment stores called Amore or Amore. I didn't manage to go in because the queue was insane and we had a dinner reservation, and you know, dinner reservations in Tokyo are hard to get. So this is just the window display. I was so gutted because of all the luxury shops, I wanted to go to Amore the most. The Instagram is great, but yeah, the Chanel is amazing there. Same with Vintage Co or Co. Couldn't go in, there was a queue, had a dinner reservation, and you know, we were gonna leave the next day. So sadly, no time to visit, but you can see here a little bit more casual, more on the ready to wear side as well. And that's just the window display of all the Chanels, some beautiful selections of vintage bags there. We did manage, however, to go into Casanova Vintage. They had 2 shops nearby. These are all in Omotesando. I believe I'm hopefully saying it okay and not butchering it, but you can see all these Chanel bags and just Louis Vuitton bags general are out on display, so you can touch them, feel them. But some of them actually felt true lambskin vintage Chanel, so very, very soft, but a lot better quality than now. And there you can see loads of Birkins and Kellys out. Honestly, it's just a night and day compared to the UK because it's so inaccessible there, whereas they're out here. And then you've also got a lot of ready to wear to sift through. I did not have the time nor interest, to be quite honest, but if something catches your eye, then it's worth having a look. And that was a bit more streetwear. And then they had another store which is more dedicated towards bags and women's wear. And you can see here some more Chanel bags. Nothing here really tickled my fancy, to be quite honest with you. There's some Goyards, which is a little bit different. I hadn't seen Goyards myself until this store. Then you've obviously got a lot of Dior's, Louis Vuittons, more vintage, I would say, than kind of barely used or brand new items that the other stores seem to have. So this is a true vintage store. Conditions vary, so obviously you'd have to do a lot of your own research and really inspect the bags if you're considering buying. But here you go, a lot of this Dior classic monograms. I believe this must have been John Galliano's time. And then a lot of vintage 24 karat gold plated classic fabs, which is awesome. And then yeah, you've got a few of the seasonal bags, but not that much selection, to be honest. So nothing really tickled me here. But you've got some nice beige Claire bags. And there you can see 600k for a Chanel bag. So just over 3 grand. I think that's great. If you're looking for a Chanel bag, but you don't want the extortionate prices in the West, go to Japan. And they're all in immaculate condition because their people just keep their stuff really nicely. So there you go. That is everything in the Tokyo part of this video series of luxury shopping in Japan. I hope it was insightful, enjoyable. I do have another video which will follow this one, talking about what I saw and the prices and things like that in Osaka. So if you are interested in that video, then hopefully that should follow this one quite nicely. I also managed to pick up something from Osaka. I will definitely also have a separate video unboxing my beautiful new purchase. So I will leave this video here. Let me know your general thoughts around what you've seen in this video in Tokyo. Would you consider buying luxury from Tokyo? And maybe if you have already before, what did you get? I would love to know. Thanks so much as always for watching, and I'll catch you in my next one.